What? Why are my E not working? Hello? Keyboard, are you okay? There we go. Morning, Mr. Steve. Morning, KaijQlge. Yeah.
So, welcome everyone to the first edition of Why I Love. This is something that I've been working on for a while and I'm very excited about. Today's special guest is the one, the only, the indomitable, the unstoppable, the number one under the Tuscan sun, one of the greatest human beings on the
My God.
planet, one of my favorite people in the world, the ultimate badass. It is Killer Kai. How are you doing today, Kai?
Wait, let me just do one thing on your stream real quick.
Oh my god. Damn it. Why did you have you're a guest. You're a guest. You shouldn't be something when you're a guest.
I had to.
You did not, but I thank you so much. I appreciate it. Red, Natsu, thank you for coming through. So, Kai, one of the reasons why I want to do this show is, you know what's something that I always think is incredibly fascinating in the world?
Which?
I think hearing people talk about the stuff they love is
Yeah.
some of the best experiences in the world. I once had an ex who was so
Oh.
into sewing that I started watching sewing YouTube videos. So to me, that is something I'm very interested in. And with that, today's topic is one I know that's near and dear to your heart. One
Oh
that I,
dear.
in the last couple years,
Oh
have
boy.
gotten extremely excited about and become a huge fan. And no small part in thanks to you and Moza. Shout out to Moza on Twitter, the best Wally West fan on Twitter out there. It is Fire Emblem, which,
Yeah.
yes, it's if for anyone who doesn't know, Fire Emblem is a series that I believe started in 1990. The first title was The Shadow of the Dragon and the Blade of Light, I believe, around there. And with the latest installment is the very iconic Fire Emblem's Three Houses, a game that
Yes.
we all love that has sowed no discourse on the internet.
Yeah.
And it's just
Absolutely no discourse
no
whatsoever.
discourse whatsoever. But if you don't know, it's a tactical role playing strategy game. It's a lot different from a lot of the mainstream games that people play. And when I say that, I'm not saying Fire Emblem isn't mainstream, because while the series did have very humble beginnings, it is now a flagship title for Nintendo. It makes crazy sales. It was a flagship title for the Nintendo Switch. It has
Yeah.
multiple fighters in Smash Bros. That everybody loves. Not a single person has ever once vented frustration over in their addition to Smash Bros. And it's just an iconic franchise that not only deals in the high fantasy, but it also deals in a lot of political intrigue, various topics that get real deep into the nitty gritty of society and everything. And one of the most unique things in the last couple installments is the way it forces players to see different perspectives. And I'm very excited to get into this. Logan, thank you for coming to the stream. Reach, thank you for coming to the stream. Kaiser, thank you for coming to the stream. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this first episode. But enough a little bit about me talking for a bit. We're here to talk about our special guest, Kai. And to start
Oh
it
god.
off, I don't know why you keep saying, oh God. Um,
I'm so nervous, man.
Hero, thank you for coming through. Um, So, well, Hero, I hate to
Oh my god,
disappoint.
historically explain. Shut up, stop, you're embarrassing me. You're
Well,
embarrassing me,
Hero,
Hero.
what we're trying to do with this series is not so much ranting. We're here to gush about this amazing series,
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
we have a couple bullet points we're gonna get to. And to start
Alrighty.
off, everybody loves the origin. Superhero
Oh,
movies still do them. So my first
for
question to
sure, for
you,
sure.
Kai, is what was your introduction to the series? What got you interested in it before you became super fan of it? Like what was the
Alright.
entry point for you?
Okay, so you mentioned like Super Smash Brothers. Like that was actually my introduction to it. Melee in particular, the one that was on the GameCube. Because like that was one of the few games my brother and I could play. So for people who don't know, my brother and I actually have a 10-year age difference. So like when my brother was what 14, I actually don't know how old I was when I first started playing, but yeah, basically you'd be like a teenager and I'm just like this little toddler kid. Like so actually, like I would play Donkey Kong because like I had small child hands. I could not reach all the buttons. All he would make me do was spam down B. So okay.
He wouldn't
So
even let you play
he
the
would
game.
just spam down because I couldn't reach anything else. But the character I eventually like so I would ask him to play Marth because I really liked how Marth looked 'cause he was like a sword fighter and
Mm-hmm.
all that shit and he was like blue. So so Kuya's like how we call older brother. I call him either like Kuya, Aniki, or Nichan, depending on the day. So yeah, Kuya, he would play Marth for me, and then he told me that like, oh, he's actually from this game called Fire Emblem, and then so we picked up his game. Oh my goodness, it's been so long, but it was like you got it for like on the DS, I think, and
Mm.
then so yeah, and from there it kind of just spiraled into looking into the other Fire Emblem games, and I kind of fell off on Fire Emblem for a bit, and then Awakening happened, and I saw Lucina, and I was like, oh god, I love her. She was basically Marth, but woman. You understand,
And everything is
woman.
better when it's woman.
Exactly, exactly.
So this was the pre Edelgard that you are
This is the
famous
pre-Adolor,
for.
yeah. So, which is why, like, I think Natsu was the one who told you or something.
Mm-hmm.
But like, Natsu would ask me, who do I love more, Lucina or Edelgard? And I'm just like, don't ask me that question. Like, it's horrible. But yeah, yeah, I think I also told you that I didn't think I'd love a character as much as I loved Edelgard. Edelgard, Lucina, and then Edelgard came along.
Yeah. I mean it's I remember when I was doing research for this, it seems to
Yeah.
be that Awakenings is not only the entry point for a lot of fandom, it also is the title that seemingly saved the series because for anyone that
Yeah.
didn't know, and it's almost I think it makes Fire Emblem look even more impressive, is that Fire Emblem had a period where the games were really struggling
Hmm?
both critically and financially. And Awakenings was a final shot into the series. So to be able to hear like someone like you who's become such a big fan of it to get to that point with that game, I think is incredibly impressive. And when you were playing it, where do you think now, like, if you could travel back and think about to your mindset then, do you, what about it during that period do you think really stuck with you, especially with Awakenings as your entry point?
Well, for Awakening, it's like a lot of the characters. Like Awakening, it is cause like the gameplay is still more or less the same.
Mm-hmm.
The tactical thing, but like what really gets people into like these RPGs and like just JRPGs in general, it's the characters. The problem with the previous Fire Emblems is that they kind of just start to recycle the same plots over and over again. That a lot of the protagonists look the same. Like Radiant Dawn is honestly one of my favorites before Awakening. And that's the one with Ike. And
Yeah.
then that one was so unique because like unlike everybody else, Ike wasn't a noble per se. he had noble blood, sure, but like he didn't grow up as nobility. He was like he was basically a himbo. So you can I love himbo.
It's a great character arc. It's like it's funny because you know you see the archetype of male characters, especially in JRPG, that tend to be popular, which is like your stone cold badasses, your comedic
Yeah.
relief, stuff like that. But the himbo character, I think, kind of gives you the most three dimensional and entertaining form of that
Yeah,
character.
yeah. Like
Like,
Ike was legitimately just like a good big brother and
mm-hmm.
all that. I have a soft spot for good big brothers because I had a good big brother. Don't tell him I called him a good big brother.
I will
He,
make sure
in
to
front of his
send
face,
his.
he is not. He's the devil.
I will make sure to email him personally. Yeah. So then, with
Yeah.
that, and when you were playing Awakenings and stuff like that, at that moment with what you experienced, did you feel like this is something I'm gonna want to continue, or was it like that was fun? Let's see what happens next.
It's for me. That's really more like that was fun, and like until now, that is still kind of my attitude. Like that was fun. Let's see what happens next. Because like it's hard, especially like with series like this where the protagonists change per game.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's always like, okay, I will love these characters. I don't know if I'm gonna love the next ones. Which kind of what happened to me as well between Awakening. Because between Awakening and Three Houses, there's this game called Fates. Oh,
Yes.
Fates.
Yes. Yes.
Like, I, it's okay. I don't hate it as much as most people, but I didn't love it either.
Mm-hmm.
That was it was also kind of the precursor to Three Houses because that's the first time the whole sides, choosing sides thing started. It started with Fates, not Three Houses. Three
Yeah.
Houses perfected it. But in Fates it is just so messy, man. And like you didn't want to do any of the romances because like they all felt like they were borderline incest.
I remember seeing that in research for the game.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was uncomfortable. Like that's it for me. There's like only one ship that is good, and that is Corrin, whether M or F, I don't give a shit. Corrin and Azura, because Azura Solian is definitely not related to any.
Yeah, I think we're kind of getting out of that right now, especially with the direction Three Houses goes. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
definitely
thank God.
it makes me kind of happy I became a fan later because I don't know how I would have reacted to it as I was playing it, especially
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a simpleton. So I would be afraid to not pick up on certain things, especially because and I think this is a great thing about Fire Emblem. It's very text heavy game. It's a
Yeah.
lot of going through conversations, which
Mm-hmm.
one thing we can talk about is, and I think it's something that it does better than most games, is the social system is just phenomenal. The
Yes,
way you
yes.
get to weave out everybody's story and everything and stuff like it takes something that is mundane in a game and really enhances it. Like for example, with Three Houses, I remember being
Mm-hmm.
taken aback by Ferdinand was a character that I was like, oh, he's pretty cool. But then once that social aspect came in and getting into those conversations, Ferdinand is quite unquestionably my favorite Fire Emblem character of all time.
I
And
love him. I love Ferdy so much. I love him.
that is my positive prince. That dude is like if I ever was abandoned in a gas station that sold sushi with a broken car, I want him to rescue me cuz
Yeah.
he would change my tire and save
He
my
will,
life.
yeah.
Like
He will not just change your tire, he will drive your car for you.
yes, and then walk home as
And
if
then walk home.
you'd be
Yeah.
like, "Oh no, I don't need a ride, buddy." Like Ferdinand, please, you're too
I'm
nice.
Ferdinand Von Ayer. I love him so much. I love him. I love him.
The characters are just so good, and the way they all mesh together, and even like the characters I've noticed, like even if there's characters you don't like, they really do a good job of making it to where you can effectively make them not part of your story as you're playing
Oh
through
yeah.
it, which
Fuck
I think.
Lawrence, am I right?
I mean, I didn't want to say it out loud, but well, Aki's saying it
Fuck
now
Lawrence,
for
yes.
everybody, but I mean, it's understandable. And since we're already talking characters, let's get into the bullet point that I'm sure is going to take a big chunk of the time, which I'm very excited for. I know everybody in the chat's very excited for about it for you, which is your favorite Fire Emblem characters.
Oh no. Oh,
Like,
characters. Okay.
yes, we're gonna go
Characters.
characters.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do that to you. Like I said, Ferdinand is my number one. Um, but just I was gonna say just like you, but I know that's not possible. Somewhat like you, I love
Among the male
Adel.
characters, yeah.
Yeah, I love
And like,
Adel.
yeah,
Well, I was gonna say somewhat like you. I love Edelgard as well.
yeah.
I've played her route in Three Houses
The root's just the best root.
7
Canonically.
times, and I've never
That's
won,
all.
and I've never changed the decisions. Like every time I play it, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do something different. Don't do it. But then you see the Black Eagles as a whole is just such a strong group of characters that
Yeah.
there are characters in it you wouldn't even believe that you love and enjoy. And
Yeah.
with that, so do you want to talk about Adelcard first or Lucina first? Since we know those are the top two.
Let's talk about. I mean, I already talked about Ike. Yeah, Ike has always been. He's actually been at the top position for like a really long time,
Mm-hmm.
and then Lucina came around, and like kind of ousted him. Sorry, Marth. Marth just got he got put over to the side. Like that scene in Toy Story where Woody gets like this nightmare of Andy going like, "I don't
I
want to
want to
play
play
with
with
you
you.
anymore." That was me with Marth. I feel bad about it.
Oh my
I
god.
feel bad about it because I went from being a Marth main to an Ike main to a Lucina main,
Oh my
and now
god.
I'm a Byleth main.
You cannot be trusted to commit to these characters.
Just kidding. I'm not a Byleth main. Byleth definitely is one of my secondary characters, though. I still main Lucina. I've kind of
Absolutely.
like pretty much committed to maining Lucina.
Oh, I mean, it's not like we have to choose. They're all great characters.
They're all
Uh,
great characters,
and
truly.
with Biolith, that's an interesting one you pick because in 2022, there's always in the modern day the question of does the silent protagonist has its place in games? And you saying how much you love Biolith, what makes you feel that Biolith, as a silent protagonist, deserves that spotlight? And do you feel that Byleth was rightfully silent, or do you feel they should have did voice acting? Like, what was your thoughts on that?
Here's the thing. I disagree with people saying that Byleth was a self-insert character. Byleth is not a self-insert character.
Not at all.
Like, there's that. Like, okay, I get why. Like Byleth kind of has like some
Mm-hmm.
voice acting, but like not as much as you'd think. But I still like, and that was I think just to maintain the spirit of the old games. But
Yes.
I still think that Byleth was their own character. They had their own story. They had their own arc. People, okay, I'm trying to figure out what I can say that won't have Fire Emblem fans screaming and raging in the comments.
Yeah. Let's keep it.
Okay, because okay, Byleth had her own thing. She was her
Mm-hmm.
own. Sorry, they were their own character because there's like a girl and a guy. I'm sorry, I play girl Byleth all the time.
It's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
I think you're not wrong to just go with Girl Byleth. You're perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean technically I played guy Byleth and the other dudes, but then like while playing the other dudes, I'd have another save file that was
Just
I'm doing
handy.
another run. Yeah, that's just another run of Crimson Flower. It's like every time I have to fight Edelgard, it breaks my heart. So I have to go back and be like, Edelgard, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god.
Dude, Azure Moon, which is the route where Edelgard's the main bad guy, that broke me. Okay? That broke me. It was so hard for me to finish. And like I noticed, because like here's the thing about Edelgard and pretty much every route, but it hits the hardest in Azure Moon. She never attacks Byleth. She
No.
never attacks Byleth. So like I just like my little Byleth would just be there in front of her, and like it would be her turn, but she's not hitting me, and I'm just like, come on, hit me.
That's such an amazing detail to notice in the game. Because I don't think that many, besides the hardcore fandom, a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh my god. I'm just remembering it and my heart is crying inside.
yeah, like, I mean, I think Byleth is a really good silent protagonist, and
Yeah.
I think it also proves why they're still a good thing in the modern age of games because I think it allows for the versatility that Byleth can fit in any of these routes with your choices. Where I think if you have too much dialogue and you feel like they develop too strong, like Byleth has personality, but you don't want too
Yeah.
strong of a personality where you're like, well, Byleth wouldn't do this or Byleth wouldn't do that. This way,
Yeah.
Byleth can fit in all of them, especially like in the Edelgard route you mentioned. The dialogues and scenes that are so unique with Edelgard is just
Yeah.
perfect. And it really amplifies that relationship once you get to that.
Oh, that was pretty unique to Three Houses. Yeah, I agree. Okay, and okay, I'm gonna. This is it. Oh my god, I'm gonna put myself on blast here. But
Oh God.
apparently, according to the reviews or like the walkthroughs of, because I looked at the walkthroughs after to see like if
Yeah.
I missed anything, and then they're like, "Oh, there's a secret route." I was like, "Oh, secret route? What is this?" And then I read the secret route, and I'm just like, "This is the route I just did. This is a secret."
You are the third person to tell me that. That they're like, I
Like,
stumbled upon the secret route and like the secret ending and all that. Like, so many people seem to just fall into it.
and here's the reason why I, in particular, fell into it. Because apparently, I did not know this, but apparently Edelgard was like the most difficult character to build like social points with. Because like, oh, because her tea is the rarest one, and then like, it's also the most expensive, and like the
Oh.
yeah, and like the items that you would gift her, they're also the most expensive in the game. And like you need more hours of like the tea time thing to be able to interact with her, and like she has among everybody like so like you pick their choices in the tea thing. Apparently hers are the hardest to figure out. I had none of that. None of that.
You were just so in love with this character that
I was so in love.
you blew through all obstacles in your way to get tea in this game. If there was an option to add crumpets, you would have figured it
I
out.
would have figured it out. Yeah.
Like it's
Oh, she likes armored teddy bears. She likes carnations because like carnations are also like so you know how you get flowers in the game, you have to like plant
mm-hmm.
like seeds. It was so rare for them to pop up. Like there was a period where I was just spamming just I think it was like red seeds or something. Like I was just spamming it in the garden. I didn't plant anything else. I didn't plant anything else to increase my chances of getting a carnation.
I give you a huge credit because I didn't mess with that garden system not once in the entire
Oh
game.
my goodness. Look, I wanted to do anything and everything for 800.
Hey, it's understandable. She deserves that treatment. She
Like,
deserves it.
yeah. It was so funny because like I have the like deluxe edition. Like I think give me one second. Let me move the camera so you can see it. Yeah,
Oh,
you can see my curtain, but like up how do I have it?
yeah.
Whatever. You can see that there's the Fire Emblem box art
Mm-hmm.
thing. It's an art book. I was going through that before I started the game because I was looking for which character I should romance. And then, funny enough, I wasn't looking at Edelgard at all. I saw Edelgard and I was like, yeah, she's okay.
Was it the like really chalk skin? Was that the turn off for you?
Probably. I was like, oh, white hair, maybe. Uses an axe. Listen, I normally don't care about axe characters, so I saw her axe and I was just like, it's okay.
So I was really infatuated about that because one thing that really drove me to loving her as a character was, and I'm not trying to make like a big statement about it, but I really don't remember much fiction where like a female character gets to just be the heavy,
I
have a
agree, I agree.
giant axe. Like I remember using her. I remember when you get her like treasure weapon, the like
Yeah.
glowing
The
ones.
timer. Yeah.
Yes, I remember being like,
Amir,
that
sorry.
thing
Amir.
is fucking huge.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
looks like it's two of me, and to see her use it, and then like when you go through the
So
exam,
tiny.
yes, and then when you go through the exam to then armor equip her, and she just has this giant dress of full armor. I'm like, this is fucking badass. Like this woman is just probably can't even sprint in this thing, but it's just like I don't need to
She's so
run.
fast though. She has like one of the highest, like in terms of traveling distance. She's like one of the few people who can keep up with Byleth's like travel.
Yes. And it's
Yeah,
just like it's such a unique take on the design. And I think
yeah,
it's so cool that the way just in general with the game
yeah.
with the specialty weapons of all the characters because like even what's his name lacrosse
Dimitri,
guy Dimitri,
Dimitri. Yeah,
like him having like a spear and Claude using an arrow. I remember just thinking to myself, that is really interesting that none of them got like a sword or anything like that. I know Byleth uses it, but those characters seem very atypical of that type of assignment for weapons. But in
yeah.
this, it's just like they kind of, and I think that kind of goes for a lot of the characters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was so unique to me. I think that's why
Yeah,
I remember spending hours upon hours playing the game, just resetting what I'm doing with them because I'm like, I just want to see what they do with this and how they play with that.
yeah. That's like one of the only things I change every time I play the Crimson Flower route, which is like Edelgard's quote unquote secret route, which I
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel was a secret at all. I fell in love with her. Actually, the funny thing is like in looking the character art, the axe was the one that initially made me like be like meh with Edelgard. But playing the game, the axe is one of the things that would go like, oh my god, I love her.
Dude, even just the animations of her fights look freaking off
Yeah.
because that anytime she uses an axe, it's like a force of nature. It's like a
Yes, I agree.
sandstorm building up behind her and everything. Like she's just such a cool character to follow in that. And then I know you're a
Yeah.
big fan of the house in general, but who would you say were the other standouts for you in it? I know we already went with Ferdinand, but was there anybody?
Dorothea, definitely.
Oh,
Like,
best woman.
okay, that's the word. Like, I love her and Petra, for sure. But like, the thing about like Dorothea is that like, it's it feels like a lot of her dialogue heavily implies that she doesn't like men at all.
Yes,
Like, if she were
yes.
to marry a man, it was only for obligation, but not because she's actually attracted to them. So everyone's just kind of like yelling at Nintendo to just like confirm that she gay, please. Please just do it. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
you
like
can't
if
go wrong
I
with
didn't,
that.
yeah, like I feel like if I didn't fall in love with Edelgard as much as I did, and I didn't like the Petra and Dorothea interactions as much as I did, I probably would have made Dorothy and Edelgard a paired ending. But I love Edelgard too much. I'm so sorry. I love her. And then speaking of Dorothea, she was actually when I was looking through through the art book, Dorothea was actually the character I wanted to to romance. It was actually Dorothea. And then Edelgard she just stole my heart. She took it. She took it and ran away with it. So here I am, an Edelgard simp.
I mean, but it shows the great taste that you have because, especially with Dorothea, the singing and the like songstress vibes of her and everything, it just
Yeah.
makes her such a fun character and stuff. Especially when you can go to the church and sing with her and everything. Like you feel more
Yeah.
connected with
Oh my
that.
God, Ferdinand and Dorothea actually like they're the two characters who more often than not like I make them sing together because Ferdinand actually likes singing.
Yeah. And it's funny
Oh
you bring up that pairing because I agree with you with Dorothea. And I didn't
yeah,
mean to do this in the game when I did, but during my first route, it ended up romancing the two of them together.
they're
And
actually really cute also. Yeah,
and this is the thing, and you know me personally, I typically don't give a shit about shipping and relationships and stuff like that. But her and Ferdinand together had me in tears. Like I just love that pair so much, and not even like that they have to be together. Just the
like
way,
their platonic friendship is also really good. It's
yes,
yeah.
because especially because Dorothy is not necessarily a negative character, but because she's seen kind of the rough side to life and everything.
Yeah, she didn't like Ferdinand at the start, and like Ferdinand just like did everything in his power to be like, I don't know what I did to offend you, but here I baked these for you. And, like I'm just like, Ferdinand, you're so precious, you're so precious.
Yes,
And then when Dorothea finally opens up to him, he's like, oh my god, I feel terrible. It's like, Ferdy, it's not you, it's not you.
yeah, it's he's just the prince of, and it's one of those semi character dramas that I think
Yeah,
works because we as the players uh like love seeing them together, and it's like why no we know Ferdinand's not a dick. We know that he
yeah,
just doesn't understand why she's like this, and it just makes such intrigue. And that moment when they finally like understand each other, that's like
yeah.
that is my second favorite moment in the game. The only thing that tops it for that is a moment that I know you like,
Oh god.
Edelgard mourning the death of Dimitri. Like
Oh yeah.
I've
Yeah.
uh, just so the chat knows, I am a crier. I'm a certified crier. I cry to games, movies. I've cried to stuff that isn't sad. But that scene, both the scene showing Edelgard killing Dimitri and then her mourning him afterwards, that was what took her to the next level for me. And
Yeah.
it was just so good because, and it this is kind of going to be to a segue to kind of the next part of where we discuss why we love the series, which is the perspectives you get in these games. And it's like I've always found what I notice with Three Hopes, what I notice with Awakenings, and when I watch videos on it and seeing all of them, is your perspective, and you just decide, oh shoot, like I'm understanding where all these characters coming from. Is that something that drove you to the series and enhanced it for you?
Um I mean like one of okay, the thing about like Awakening and Three Houses, one of the things that makes them really okay, like to be fair to Fates, its character interactions is also well, it's also pretty good. But it's just the whole it's like okay, you know how to get the everyone is happy ending in Fates? You have
Yeah.
to sacrifice one of the characters.
Mm, tough
Yeah, and
choice.
it was horrible. It was horrible. And like Fates, as much as I love Fates, the whole I get what they were going for with like it was very clearly an East versus West thing. And that's a very, very tricky topic in
Yes.
Japan.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
very, very, very tricky topic. Um so yeah, that it does tackle like the harder issues. Like I mean, I think I understand what Fates was trying to do was the whole they're trying to talk about like diaspora. So like for example like Japanese Americans in particular I think were the ones who they're trying to go for here. Like the whole having to choose between the land where your ancestors are from versus the land that adopted you, and it it made it interesting, but at the same time, it kind of made it a little controversial and kind of difficult to play.
Yeah,
Um, I am not on the side you'd think I'd be on. Okay, let me ask,
understandable.
what side did you think I'd be on when it comes to fates?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Okay, okay. Um, because like here's the thing, like I have an issue with like wafu, which is like what we call white hafu.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like both in Japan and outside Japan, there's like a whole thing about how they don't realize how entitled and privileged they are. Like they're seen as desirable, quote unquote, wherever they go. Meanwhile, other Hafu, just like me, I am a pure Asian Hafu.
Mm-hmm.
So meaning like the other half of my Japanese Hafu-ness is still an Asian ethnicity. I'm Filipino. So I'm kind of getting called how do I say this? I get called trash and boring and uninteresting
Oh,
because I am not half white, not
yeah.
anything white. So I mean, I get that Fates was trying to go for that I'm digging the promo by the way. Thank you, thank you. I know that Fates was trying to dig into that diaspora, into that issue, but I just don't think it should have been handled in the video game.
Gotcha,
You know?
gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
But like with yeah, sorry, go on.
no, no, no. Go ahead, go ahead. Finish your point.
No, like with like Three Houses kind of goes back to I know everyone jokes about how TTRPGs always quote unquote kill God or like have this issue with religion. And then here's like I never makes fun of it, but there's actually a historical reason why Japan in particular has okay has kind of like a struggle with like religion, how religion is it has a complicated relationship with religion. I also have a complicated relationship with religion.
Mm-hmm.
It's because during you have to go back into like history. Oh my goodness, this is the history that Tiro was talking about. I just realized. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, it explains why a lot of not just Fire Emblem, but a lot of JRPGs why they always have this concept of quote unquote killing God, is because like during the Warring States period. So first Japan had the innate religion of Shintoism, and then Shintoism actually was a pretty progressive religion at the start. The leaders of the religion were women who
Mm-hmm.
were warrior women, obviously. And like Japan just kind of has this thing about like if your religion can't defend itself, is it really a good religion or something like that? It's like because of the history of the Warring States period. Now during the Warring States period, Buddhism and Confucianism came to Japan from China. I'll not get into that relationship. It's very complicated, and I don't want to get yelled at.
Gotcha.
But basically, Buddhism was used to gain political power. Like the Buddhist monks themselves were trying to leverage the religion to they were trying to use the religion to kind of like make the samurai give them power and authority or something like that. I won't get too into like the technical details of it, but basically the samurai did not like that. There's a massacre that happened, and then the samurai themselves used religion to further their status, to further their being.
Gotcha.
Now, Catholicism, well, Christianity came into the country, and it was a ironically enough, because like they sent missionaries, so it wasn't like the Crusades and shit. So Catholicism was kind of perceived as like a passive religion. So in Japan, so they're like, oh, you guys don't have like warriors. That's weird because again, looking at the history, the past few religions had concepts of like warrior monks. Catholicism did not, at least at that time, because it weren't the Crusades anymore. So which is why Catholicism was kind of suppressed in a sense in Japan, um which leads to the next thing, which is what happened prior to World War II. Oh god, this is a tricky topic, but like you have to know this. It was when Shintoism was again brought back, but it was twisted in the emperor's favor to make it seem like him and all Japanese people were blessed by the gods and therefore had the right to do what they did in World War II. It's it's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So which and going now into modern times. So of course, Japanese schools actually teach that and teach the dangers of thinking like that, and like that's like we should never do that ever again,
Absolutely.
ever. Like we acknowledge the shitty history that we had, even though like some lawmakers want to delete it. It's a very very important thing that you have to teach the youth. And now in modern times, there's this there are unfortunate instances of cult religions popping up. There has been a cult that has it's done so much damage to like the candy industry in Japan. They would plant like poisonous like they plant poison basically in kids' food. So it caused like a whole economic crisis and all that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and there have also been cults that do even worse things like murder, torture, etc., etc. So you can see where Japan's like iffiness with religion comes from.
Yeah.
And it's reflected also as well in the media that Japan does,
Mm-hmm.
which is kill God.
It's
The kill God
one of
RPGs.
the most famous tropes. Like, you know, Persona has built an entire franchise on that. Because I'm
Yeah.
playing through 4 right now, and I'm just like, wow. Like, I'm not saying that Persona doesn't change things up and everything, but it's like the endpoint seemingly kind of always goes back to always what it is. And Hero is also saying history in the chat. So Hero
Yes. There you go.
predicted your transition for that. Also, Adam, thank you for coming through. Much appreciate you being here, brother. And then Commodore, thank you for being a first time viewer. Much appreciated. Um, but no, and Kai, thank you for that lesson right there. Because look, the show is about gushing about the series we love, and we've been doing that
Yeah.
for over 40 minutes. But I think, as you said, it's important to get that context and everything in there.
Yeah.
Because when you love something, you also got to acknowledge everything that comes with it. It's not
Yes.
about
Yes.
blind love and everything like
Mm-mm.
that and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it's good to know these things, and I appreciate you educating me on that and stuff like
I
that.
got you. Yeah. You
Yeah,
know I love teaching people.
absolutely. And then with that, as we transition back to Fire Emblem and stuff, there is something that I've wanted to talk about with you about because we never really talked about it too
Mhm.
much before with Fire Emblem, and
I'm
it's
scared. Okay, go
something
on.
synonymous with Fire Emblem that is still debated about to this day, almost debated about in another extremely popular genre today, which is
Okay.
Fire Emblem's most famous feature, permadeath.
Oh.
So and this is the thing, chat. Me and Kai have probably had 4 to 5 Fire Emblem conversations in the last 2 years, and somehow we've never once. The only time we've ever talked about permadeath is when we were hanging out in.
Okay.
Uh,
Uh,
it was the second
was it in
time we were
the
hanging
Gundam
out.
Cafe, right?
Yes, yes, we were
Yeah.
in the Gundam Cafe. Eh,
Yeah, I remember.
and I killed off
And
my
like, yeah.
entire characters. So,
Yeah,
so I did you ever attempt a permadeath run? Have you ever
I
tried?
did. I did a permadeath run like after like basically after I got everything out of the way and like the easier because like I when it's basically the time when I had more time to dedicate to the game because like if I'm just playing it on the side while like school's ongoing etc like I don't want to have to stress about the game, you know.
Yes.
So I did a permadeath run. I was actually pretty successful. I managed to like keep my team alive. I managed to keep my team alive because
God
like
bless your
you know
soul.
yeah, yeah. I tactics. I had tactics.
Well, I'm like
Basically.
I'm like Adam in the chat where like I just can't. I don't want to lose my characters permanently, and
No, I agree. I agree.
and I'm
It's
like,
fine.
and I like to call myself a sloppy gamer, where I do things without reading instructions,
Oh
thinking
my
about
god.
it. I remember going into the final battle against Rhea and freaking Edelgard's route. And I remember before the battle started, I was like, let me just check a walkthrough to see where I should be at level wise. I was like 13 levels under what's
Oh my
considered
god.
like what's
I mean,
considered.
I don't really look at walkthroughs either, but I think like we're very different kinds of gamers. I'm like
Yes, we
overly
are.
thorough. I'm like overly thorough.
Yes, we are.
So like with me, like you were 13 levels below. I was kind of like way too many levels above what what was recommended.
You did every side mission known to
I
man.
did. I really did. I spent so much time in the game, and like I just also remember um, also like the thing with like oh it is actually a secret route, and like and then when you unlock the secret option, you have to choose this, and then like most people don't, but then me I was like. Edelgard inviting me to go to Enbar? Yes, of course I'll go with her. What kind of question is that? And then arrest Edelgard or side with Edelgard. I'm like, Edelgard, obviously. Why are you asking me this?
Yeah, and it's so and like it's funny because I shouldn't like Fire Emblem's gameplay because it requires so much thought, and I think I love what I love about it is it's the chess like maneuvering. Like Logan in the
Yeah,
chat is saying I should use the block button. Thankfully, there is no blocking in Fire
yeah,
Emblem,
yeah. There's no
and
blocking Fire Emblem.
and but it's just the whole strategy field and tactical strategy games are tough games to sell. There are
Mhm.
some big franchises and stuff, but it's kind of like I would say where the stealth genre has gone because ever since Metal Gear died, like there's really Hitman is the last standing big AAA stealth genre game. Fire Emblem is one of the few tactical strategy games that are still standing along with XCOM and stuff. And I think the strategy to it is just so much fun. Like and
Yeah, here's the thing: like they make it like extremely obvious, and like intuitively, it makes sense why these particular like units would be more favorable. I guess like obviously the archers are gonna be favorable to the winged
yes.
bitches, you know, like obviously, like and then oh here's the thing that I really like. It's a little tidbit. Like the reason why Axis have an advantage against spears and lances is because with axes you tend to go full out when it comes to strength. You have to like unleash it, but then with
Yeah.
lances with spears you have to be a little more controlled. So obviously that, and also with the reach of lances, obviously the axe is going to trump it. But then if you go lance versus swords, obviously the lance wins because like the lance has a further reach. But with swords versus axes, because axes tend to be a little more out of control, you can say that. Um the in close combat, swords would have like better maneuverability around axes. So like the balancing of the game is very intuitive. It makes sense for the most
Mm-hmm.
part. So in terms of strategy, like after a few runs of like getting used to it, of remembering it, like after a while it just kind of becomes second nature to you. Like, oh, these guys are like they fly, so obviously I send my archers after them, like etc. etc.
And it's a series
But like
that
as a yeah, sorry.
no, I was just saying it's a series too that really rewards you from learning the gameplay loop because it's so cool that where you match up your characters together and where they fight next to each other, then it adds to the social points and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
Yeah.
remember my first run of the game, I was so frustrated because I'm like, I can't get any of these fucking kids to like me. Cause like, cause let's be honest, Byleth is low key a cheat code in Three Houses. Once Byleth
Oh
gets
yeah.
strong enough, boom, tanks everything. So I would just send Byleth out on his own. I wouldn't pair him up with anybody. And I'm like halfway through the game, and my highest like relationship was like C on Ferdinand, and I'm like, oh
Oh
my
my god.
god, what am I doing? This was right before I just reset. And then when I saw that if you pair characters together in battle, they start going up, and I'm like, oh my god, this game is like opening it up to me. And it's a game that puts the experience in your hand of where like you have to try and think. Like,
Yeah.
other games, and this is no offense to those games because I love those kind of games. A lot of games you can just press square, dodge, you're good. But with these, you really got to know your shit. Like when we like looking back at that Rhea fight, if you don't understand the game and you get to that point, you're getting eaten alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Like
Oh.
it's
Mm-mm.
so crazy, and it's just a loop that I think is makes for entertaining ways, and especially because so you mentioned it earlier. It started with the game before Fire Emblem Three Houses, where you had the
Awakening.
multiple
Oh.
sides.
Fates. Yeah.
Fates,
Yes. Yes.
yes, yes. I forgot about it too for a sec. Um,
You said before Fire Emblem together. I was like, Awakening. Oh wait, Fate. Yes, that
yes,
was the thing.
and with that multiple sides, is that something you want to see continue on for the series, or are you hoping to go back to that one side? Because I see both sides to it having the
Sides.
yeah, the multiple factions and sides adds for more replay value, obviously.
Yeah. Definitely.
While
Yeah.
the one side having just one narrative perspective, I can also see can make for a bit of a tighter story, and then you also
Mhm.
don't get what you had to deal with in Three Houses, where certain roots weren't as strong as the others, and unfortunately, one of it had cut content to it.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, would you prefer to go back to the one, or stick with what they're
Oh,
doing now?
when it comes to series that change characters with every installment, I think it's just going to go down to like it depends on the story you want to tell. I think there's room for both.
Mm-hmm.
It because like Awakening had so much higher replayability because of like you could all the possible endings you could go through with the
Mm-hmm.
characters, and then that was just one singular route, but then like, it was very very fun to replay over and over again to see like what kind of decisions he'd make. Oh, there's a thing about decision making I want to talk about, but like I'll do that later. Um, but like it works for three houses. Imagine if in three houses if you could only pick one of the houses. Like it
Yeah, it
just
would be
doesn't
whack.
work.
It would be whack.
Yeah, it would be whack. Yeah. And then again, but then like the multiple houses or multiple factions thing just won't work in in a story like Awakening. So again, I think at the end of the day, it's going to go down to like what kind of story they want to tell. So I don't have a preference for either or because I definitely think both can work. So it's really going to be up to the story of the game.
Yeah. And like you said, because you have multiple entries, I think the most important, now that you mention that and sitting on it, because I was kind of on board for going back to just one route or one narrative perspective, but I wouldn't mind it flip flopping between them.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I think if you're going to have a long running series which reinvents itself with every game, I think the most important thing is you don't feel like you're sticking with one thing for too long. If that's
yeah,
your selling point. And that's what makes Fire Emblem so much fun is when you look at the history of the series. A lot of these games, while obviously very similar, change so much between them and stuff
yeah.
like that. Like obviously I've only played Three Houses and I'm kind of somebody who's going back and watching videos on the old ones. But seeing like for example Awakenings to Three Houses, it seems like an entirely different world of games.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible to
Mhm.
see. Go ahead.
Here's the thing I don't like about the multiple routes though. The fandom discourse.
Oh my.
It is horrendous. It's horrible. Holy shit.
I understandable. Understand. I was thinking I was like, oh man, we went this whole time. We've talked about just loving the game for like 90%. I'm
Oh
like,
my
but
god.
it
Oh
always
my
has to
god.
creep back in at some point.
You
Always
can't,
does.
because here's the thing, you can't talk about the game without talking about its fandom, especially a fandom as prominent as that of Fire Emblem. Like, here's the thing, like, the Fire Emblem fandom has been kind of notorious because of the multiple endings you can get in terms of like pairing up the characters. The the discourse of like which character was better for the main character, which character is better for each other, etc. etc. It's been there ever since the game had the
Mm-hmm.
romance shit with the social system. it it's just amplified and even worse with Three Houses because of the factions. Because now I have people calling Edelgard the devil, and I'm just sitting here doing my best to defend her from all these people who are completely misunderstanding her because they refuse to play her route for some reason. Like,
Yeah.
I can confidently say that I have like a not really better understanding, but like I here's the thing, like
You did more
you know this
research.
about me. Yeah. Like even though like the other routes broke my heart, I still played them because like I can't critique something if I haven't experienced it myself. Like
Absolutely.
why I can't say that I think Claude's logic is flawed if I haven't played this route because like now the argument of oh you're just saying that because you didn't play this route doesn't work on me because I've played it. I still think his logic is flawed.
Yeah. And and two, I think even to kind of tie back to like the admiration for the series with the point that you're bringing up is it's a shame that happens because I think one of the most amazing things the game does with the multiple perspectives, not just with Three Houses, but any of them, you don't have to really argue over it because you're choosing the way you go through. And it's a
Yeah.
simple understanding of the game is made so you don't think this way. Like
Yeah.
I love Edelgard. She's my favorite of the three main house leaders and all that stuff. But I
It's
also
objectively the best.
yes. But I also acknowledge that it's such a well-made story from three different perspectives that I'm sure if I invested in enough time I'm going to see the points inside to all of that. And that's not to say like someone like you who's very intelligent can critically go through
Oh
them
god.
and pick out the points. Don't get embarrassed. You're smart. It shouldn't make you feel embarrassed.
I get shy, okay? It's the thing people bully me for, okay?
But it's something that I feel like like even the people who find flaws in the other routes whatever, I think it's just a common ground that we can all be like, but look how awesome this all is. And also
Yeah.
it's just a game.
It's
Like
just
at
a
the
game, everyone.
yeah
Relax,
yeah
relax.
it's just a fun game that we all love. Like it's an exciting like what I love about Fire Emblem, like the fandom is rough, cannot deny it, but one thing that I love with it when it comes to the fandom though is Fire Emblem fans fucking love Fire Emblem. Like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
oh my god, I remember when before Three Hopes was announced and there was that rumor about new entry into the series and then a remake of Genealogy of the Holy War. There was not
Mm.
like solid concrete proof yet, and people were already making concept threads of like this is what the next game should be, this is how you do the remake, everything. I love that rabid fandom enthusiasm for it.
Yeah.
Like just seeing the fan art, seeing the fanfics of people creating their own stories from it, like it's just so amazing. You don't
Yeah.
see like don't get me wrong, there's plenty of games with hardcore fandoms that you see
Mm.
that kind of stuff with, but I feel like Fire Emblem's on another level. Like,
Like speaking of another level, so obviously we've been talking about like the Edelgard route, and like here's the thing that like, the people who don't play the Edelgard route say, like they always say shit like, "Oh, but then you don't actually defeat." those who slither in the dark. So Edelgar's route is the bad ending. But like if you actually played it, and especially if you get Hubert's Hubert's ending,
Mm-hmm.
if Hubert's alive, like Hubert talks about like how their next target is to vanquish those who slither in the dark.
Absolutely.
Like it wasn't an alliance because they actually believe in what they think. It was like an alliance for convenience, but then
Yeah.
now they're going to eradicate them. So now the fans of Edelgard, who did obviously play that route, um, now the critique of the fandom is that like why is her route so short? It stops at like chapter 18. Like why is it so short? So
Yeah.
now there's like this fan game coming out. The person working on it, but they're still working on it. It's gonna be for free, but they're making basically an extended like Crimson Flower Plus or something like that.
That's freaking
Actually,
awesome.
yeah, she's calling it Edge of Dawn, which is like really nice. I can get into like a whole bit about the music, but like it's gonna be very
Why
very
don't we?
technical.
Because let's. The main theme of the game is a fucking banger. As soon. I, you know me, I'm the most musically illiterate person in the world. But as soon as I hear "Reach for my hand," I walk away into the. I.
I wish I could stay.
Oh my god. Oh, Rye, thank you for coming
Oh,
through. Hello, how you doing? But
oh,
yeah,
hey, Grayson.
like it's just so it's such a good. I remember I was coming back from Japan and I was in uh COVID lockdown for 2 weeks and I remember I listened to that song so much that I
Oh my
kept
god.
getting YouTube recommendations of covers, remixes. Like it's such a banger, and like you said, the music of Fire Emblem is just. I get like I'm gonna start crying. Every time you reunite with the students after the time
Oh
skip,
god.
the
Yeah.
OST fucking gets me every time. Like
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I
yeah.
think about it. And as somebody who's super into music as you are, like would you put Fire Emblem in that top tier of Hall of Fame gaming
Okay, like
music?
for sure, because like I've always been like an advocate of being able to tell the story through the music as well, which is why
Mm-hmm.
John Williams is like one of my absolute favorite like movie score composers of all time because of how he uses this thing called leitmotifs. So they're basically like little themes and little snippets of music that basically tell you to like which characters associate with which theme is which theme in the film is it associated with, what does it represent, and then by putting these little things together you can create the story through music. The Batman is another very good example of that. Giacchino, so he has this thing called Sonata in Darkness that's basically talks about it's basically like a piano suite.
Mm-hmm.
um it's essentially a modern sonata of like the important themes of the movie, and it tells you what the important themes of the movie are. So first, there's like a minor third, that dun 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 dun, that plays almost throughout it, and then you heard it in all the promotional art. And for the longest time people are calling it, oh, that's the Batman theme. After listening to Sonata in Darkness, I was like, oh, that is not the Batman theme.
Mm.
That that little interval right there is actually symbolic of Gotham. It's not the Batman theme. The
Yeah.
Batman theme was the thing that plays after he like saves everyone and shit. And then of course that Sonata in Darkness also had the Catwoman theme, which makes sense because Catwoman had been extremely integral to that movie, and like she helped shape Batman's perspective as well on what his priorities are, etc., etc. Anyway, the music of Fire Emblem does that with Edge of Dawn. That in the which we call this, in the main theme, it starts with a G flat. Um Yeah, it starts with the G flat. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, that bit basically is what shapes the entire soundtrack. Is basically
Mm-hmm.
shapes the entire soundtrack. Um, it tells you like for majority of the roots, it's in a minor key.
Yeah.
It's a so minor key for most people. Obviously, that's not entirely the case, but like just to keep it simple, it tends to be more associated with like sadder themes, more depressing
Mm-hmm.
themes. It's sad. Like so for every root, with the exception of one, it plays that Edge of Dawn, the Edge of Dawn that you hear, the singing version, the really sad one that's in a minor key. And then like literally the song in Japanese the title is Hresvelgo no Shoujo. It translates to the girl of Hresvelg, and Edelgard is Edelgard von Hresvelg.
Mm.
Okay, so if you look at the lyrics of the song, it's all obviously in Edelgard's perspective. So the ending of every route is that song that's showing her really sad perspective and in minor key. The only time where that doesn't play is the Crimson Flower route, aka the route where you choose Edelgard. Like, here's the thing about that route. You didn't just have to choose the Black Eagle for several points. Like, it's just something I honestly didn't realize at first because, again, I just fell in love with Edelgard and did these things without hesitation. But like you had to actively choose to like spend more time with her. Because like for everybody else, it was very easy to gain social points. With her, you had to make the conscious effort to have tea with her, to get her favorite drinks, to get to side with her in battle, and even toward the end, you had to make the active choice to go with her. You have to make another choice to side with her even at at the end to choose her side over Rhea's when Rhea tells you to like arrest her or something. You have to choose to stand by Edelgard, which is something that the other roots don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of Edelgard's route, you get a piano version called The Color of Sunrise, and it's in a major key instead of a minor key. It essentially plays the same theme again, but this time it's in a major key, which is the quote unquote happier um chord progression. So yeah, just I didn't get into the more technical bits, but just that really small change between the roots across all the roots. And oh, another thing, the Color of Sunrise doesn't have lyrics to it. She doesn't need to cry about her her side anymore. She doesn't have to. She's not. It's like the game is not making you mourn it
Yeah.
anymore. It
It
You're happy and you're settled.
it's such a perfect soundtrack for everything because even when you're just going through like I think one that I don't want to say underrated because I don't know if maybe people talk about it a lot, but just the theme for walking around the monastery, it's
Yeah.
so upbeat and gives you like that energy, uh, and it just gives you that desire to explore and everything. And even in battle, like the battle theme just makes you wanted to get ready and fight. Like, oof, it's just really impressive. Rye, why are you staying up till 2 a.m.? You need sleep, my friend.
She found another hot man and decided to read the story. Anyway.
Oh, well, that's understandable. Who can blame Rye for that? I know when I see a hot dude, I'm also up till 2 a.m., but that's neither near nor there. But, so, I mean, now with that, we've kind of gone through a lot of the current Fire Emblem stuff, and we touched about it a little bit. But one thing that everybody loves to talk about, series and stuff that they like, is what are your hopes for the future in terms of not for stuff to them to like fix or like critiques you have, but what are some just genuine hopes that you think intelligent system Fire Emblem could really do that's really cool next for the series that maybe they haven't done before?
Okay, I know you said like things that not necessarily things that they fix. Like first off, this is like just like a very minor nitpick.
Mm-hmm.
as somebody who speaks both like Japanese and English. I want Insys to please fix the way they translate things.
No, I
Like,
don't blame you because I think
like,
that's a huge issue in video games at
yeah,
all. Like,
it's one of the reasons why people often misunderstand Edelgard and like even the characters they like, because like the way intelligent systems like translates the dialogue, it's like it loses a lot of the nuance in it. Like I understand translating is its own art and you won't be able to like you won't be able to literally translate everything and you have to reword some things.
mm,
They the way they choose to reword things is so weird. Like the confrontation between Edelgard and Dimitri, I looked at the English one, I was like, what the hell is this conversation? What the hell? Why? Huh?
they just tore it apart. I mean, that's
Yeah, yeah.
it's understandable because like just like if a lot of people don't know, apparently like for the Pokemon, I think it's either Spanish or Portuguese. A lot of the translation is very inappropriate because
Yeah, yeah.
they don't take the time to actually go through it and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
which is totally
So, yeah.
understandable. Spill the translation
Which is
tea. It's a lot of apparently like drugs and sexual references in Pokemon.
yeah, like a lot of the translation was it's apparently lingo for something sexual or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
When it comes to Fire Emblem, the one in particular is that actually there are several. Like they make okay in the tea. Okay, here's a minor one. I don't want to get into like the bigger controversial ones. Here's a minor one. Like if you go have tea with Edelgard, in the English, Edelgard would comment about like, ah, you're so stoic all the time. Just fine. But in the Japanese one, she actually says something like, I something like I want to make you blush or something like that. It's like
it's more direct.
it's more direct. It's more obviously it's this is meant to be romantic. Like Dorothy is actually another character who's like heavily hit by this. A lot of the references that she might be gay got lost in when the game was translated to English. Like um I think in the English they said something like she's nervous about men or something like that about like
Being queasy
something
around them and stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, something like that. Like she gets nervous. But then like in the Japanese, she literally says that I have no interest in men. She says that straight up.
That is a
So
hell of a mess up.
it's a hell of a mess up, right? Because like the first one you can interpret, oh, she's just not used to being around men, or like she's had a bad experience with men. But then in the Japanese, you know that for sure she's just not interested in them.
Yeah, and that
Like
can cause a lot of divides on interpretation from people and
it,
stuff like that.
and it did. It really did.
Yeah, you
So
have to be
yeah,
direct. You have to be direct. Like,
yeah, you have especially for like fans with like majority of the people on Twitter, I'm sorry to say this, have like zero media literacy. They
yeah,
have no media literacy. You need to spell things out for them.
you're
Like
absolutely correct because to be honest, that's me. I'm just not the type to like argue and stuff like that, and I'm willing to see reason to both sides. But it's like,
that's fine. That's
yeah.
fine. Yeah.
But I kind of I agree with you though because like I'm the type of person you're talking about where it's like, for me, you gotta just say it. You can't beat around the bush and stuff like that. And I know there should be subtlety at times, but it's even like uh um, of course.
What?
I thought. Sorry, my bad. I saw the daddy spanking sound alert get redeemed, and I couldn't remember if I disabled it for this series or not. like, which I don't think I did because I hear it now. But
Oh my god.
but thank you, Aki, for that. Much appreciated. Um, but like, it should be direct. It should be said because like
Yeah.
especially too like I'll say like as a Latino person and stuff like that. It's like I don't really like when my characters are implied Hispanic. I think it should
Yeah.
be
Yeah. I agree.
just say, and it's not like I need the character to stop and be like I'm brown. No, but you can do things in a story to subtly show if you, all you gotta do is put a Puerto Rican flag in someone's
Yeah,
room, and
just put it in the background.
literally someone's gonna be like, oh, they must. No weirdo just has random flags of countries that they're not like have any association to. But
Yeah.
now with that, translations is one. Is there any like gameplay, character loops and stuff that you're hoping to see in the next series?
Yeah.
Or actually, well,
I have one. I have
go.
one. They need to stop with gender locked classes.
Yes. 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 Yes.
I just wanted Ferdinand to be able to go on a Pegasus. Okay, I want to see Ferdinand on a
He
Pegasus.
makes
I
so much
want Ferdinand to
sense.
do it.
He's so dreamy.
He's so dreamy. Let him have a Pegasus.
Like
Dude,
he's
no more
just
gender lock classes, please. No more.
he's such a prince. Like he should just rip his shirt off and be on a Pegasus flying
Yeah,
around.
but he
I
can't be on
told
a Pegasus.
I
I don't
totally
understand.
agree. I totally agree. And also I agree, right? Visual storytelling is very, very underestimated in
Yeah.
fiction. Now, I'll
Mhm.
say one thing, kind of tying into the gender lock classes, I also think one thing they should do is I think they should start allowing more. I don't want them to necessarily go into like a super detailed oriented gear class system for the future or anything like that. But I want to see maybe more outfit customization or more options and stuff, especially
Yeah.
for in battle, because I love Three Houses. I like a lot of the designs. I don't feel like
Yeah.
there's a ton of options.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, because I just remembered this. Okay, so you know how you unlock the dancer subclass through
Yes.
like the it's just it's just always been really funny to me because like what the dancer basically does for those who don't know is that so a character will do their turn and then they'll end it, right? But if a dancer goes up to you and dances to you, they can do another turn. I'm just like it's just ridiculous that like imagine being a soldier in battle and just like, ah, I'm tired. And then somebody goes up to you, starts hula hooping, and you're like, oh yes, I can fight again now.
It would that's kind of the ultimate power move. If I just saw some dude pop locking in front of me to like get his strength back, like I'm not fighting that guy. We are in war and he's doing the Dougie. I'm not gonna fuck with him. Like please. Like dear God. I mean, and it's just
God.
yeah, like that is funny because it's just so wacky. I didn't even think of that before until you mentioned it. Like,
Oh my God,
God, I
I love
hope
the
you could
dancer
do it.
subclass.
I hope you can do it in Three Hopes. Like, I really
Oh my
hope,
God.
just because that's
Um,
so much more in depth.
yeah, it would be funny, but like I don't think Three Hopes is gonna have that because it's gonna be a warrior series.
That's what I expect. But I will say, after playing Persona 5 Strikers, there is a lot of not leg room, leeway they can
Hmm.
do with that gameplay. That's why I'm super stoked for
Yeah,
Three
that's true.
Hopes because like
I'm so excited.
Strikers didn't feel like a typical Muso game, and I don't
Hmm.
think Three Hopes looks like one. And I already think it's the story alone is going to be worth it because this
Yeah,
Sheen's twist, I feel like
because
I I feel like Intelligent System and Koei Tecmo was like all these fan theories you guys have, throw them out. There's like because nobody literally me and you reacted to it live and was like, oh, the purple haired dude must be the antagonist. And it's
yeah,
like they
yeah,
heard
yeah.
us on street. It was just like no, like which, and I agree because I know you have a theory that it's going to be like kind of a cop out or a fake out, which I
Yeah, yeah,
totally
yeah.
agree with. But I think that's such an awesome twist
It
to
is, yeah,
do
it's a
for the
pretty cool
game.
twist. But like, just like the premise, like just now, like I saw somebody say like the other day, like imagine like it's just ridiculous to them that like this angry purple bitch who like got killed in majority of the timelines.
Wait,
He got killed by Bile in the majority of the timelines and just suddenly alive.
so
And it's just like
Sheens is a character in three.
Shez.
Shez. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, thank God I didn't call him Sheets. Um, well, because Sheets is a gas station in the States that you get food
Oh,
from. So
oh,
now I have that image in my head, but now I'm afraid to say their name. uh,
Shez. I got you.
Shez, they're a pre-existing character.
Because like I read somewhere that like apparently in majority of the timelines, but like they had a confrontation with Byleth and Byleth just killed them every time. But in this particular timeline, for some reason, he doesn't die. They don't die, and now they're being a petty little bitch.
I
Basically.
would love if this game is just them going up to Byleth and being like, "Stop, please. Do you know what it's like to be stabbed? Like it hurts. Like
Oh man.
why?" I'm
So
really
yeah,
excited for it because it's not what I thought we were getting after the initial
yeah,
reveal, but the story looks so interesting. I think there's fun to be had with Muso games. Yes, the loop can get a little old, stuff like that, but it seems like they're bringing back social links. It seems like um, they're really heavily focusing on the stuff we love about Fire Emblem and stuff like that. And plus
yeah.
two,
I guess I played like the first Fire Emblem Warriors.
oh,
That's why
I
I was like
forgot
really
about
excited. There's gonna
that.
be yeah. I played the first Fire Emblem Warriors, and like I really like the social aspect of it. Like the amount, since of course in Fire Emblem Warriors it was like characters across different franchises. Um, it had Faith, it had Awakening, it had like the original Marth series. Plus two new characters. Anyway, so yeah, just like the interactions of these characters across different series was like very interesting. Like the characters you think would get along actually do get along, and characters you didn't think get along, they apparently do. Or like they're of course they'll clash at the start, and like the way their friendship develops is like really interesting. Also, like obviously the social system is still gonna be there in in Three Hopes. I am curious to see what changes in the social systems. I just honestly, at the end of the day, I just want to be able to put Byleth and Edelgard together.
Which we know you're gonna do no matter
I will do
what.
everything in my power to make
God
it
forbid the
happen.
game gets a PC release and the power of modding happens.
I'm
Cause
gonna be so annoying.
and I think it is a fun game to get before we get the two rumored titles,
Oh yeah,
especially getting it before Genealogy of the Holy War,
yeah,
because while I've never touched that game, um I feel like it's going to be incredibly cool to see a revamped, really classic Fire Emblem game, modern
yes,
day, and
yes,
imagining people's reaction to it. Like,
yep,
like that's gonna be a really big. It's to me, it's kind of like what you see with Final Fantasy in their remakes because so many
yeah,
people, as big as Final Fantasy VII was, a lot of us, including myself, never touched it before because a lot of people just don't want to play a PlayStation One game, and then you see the reaction and stuff like that. It's crazy. So to see that for Fire Emblem is going to be incredibly cool. And Disney, I mean not Disney, Nintendo seems
Disney.
to Disney bought Fire Emblem.
Oh my god.
Hey, Mickey Mouse is technically a video game character. He could
Oh my
appear
god.
in Fire Emblem as a DLC character. I would be down for it. Or what would you?
Yeah.
I mean,
Beaver didn't sell it for like really cool
yeah, well,
protagonist.
yeah. I mean, I know you wouldn't like it because God forbid somebody hacks the game and like does a route where like Mickey Mouse and Edelgard end up
Oh my
together.
fucking god.
Oh,
Uh,
Edelgard, do you need some
stop,
comfort right now?
please.
Edel, Would you like some tea times? I bought a box of crumpets.
Oh my god. Wait, are you hearing some interference from my mic
No,
or
no.
not?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
okay.
hear
Because I
everything.
saw the green box light up and I wasn't doing anything. I was
Yeah,
like, what the hell?
yeah. I think you just killed Kai. I think Kai imagining Edelgard with anyone than other than Byleth probably kills you on the inside, doesn't it?
A little, yeah.
It's,
Like the only person Edelgard's allowed allowed to have besides Violet is me. Okay, I'm kidding.
of course.
It
So,
felt yeah, it kills me a little bit inside.
all right. So with that, we're gonna wrap up a bit and everything, and last two segments of the show, we're gonna do a little bit of questions from the chat if we want. But before we get to that, we'll do as the name of the show. If you could just wrap it up in a quick summary,
Oh no.
Kai, why do you love Fire Emblem?
Uh, music, tactics, socials.
Can't beat that combination.
Yeah,
Cannot beat that combination.
yeah.
It's really great. And now, with that, we're going to open it up to the chat. I apologize to the viewers. I know typically on my streams we interact a lot more, but I wanted to focus heavily on the discussion side. Make sure Kai got to go ham on all their thoughts and opinions on Fire Emblem. I know Hero's really happy with their question being answered and stuff. Uh, Natsu
No,
is the,
no, dude, no.
I just like that Natsu is not letting it go. Natsu is like, you are going to pick between Lucina or Edelgard. Like, they Natsu put you have to choose.
No, I
It,
don't. I don't. I do not. Stop.
Logan has a really good one. Characters you think should cross
Should cross
over.
over. Listen.
I knew you were gonna go that way.
Okay, but no, for real. Cause like I just think okay, cause like my main ship for Lucina is like her with this character called Severa. The reason why I really like them is because Lucina is like this noble, and then her dad wait sorry let's go the other character first.
Mm-hmm.
Severa is like this daughter of this character called Cordelia, and Cordelia was like a really loyal Pegasus Knight of Crom, who is Lucina's dad. And then Cordelia dies for Crom in one future. And Severa has kind of resented Lucina for that, but over the course, Severa realized that oh shit, I am also dedicating my life to you the same way my mom dedicated my life to your dad. And now I am about to die the way that she is, but she doesn't die. Spoiler alert: Severa doesn't die. She doesn't die. She could die, but she doesn't. No, no, no. Okay, anyway. Um, so like they just have this whole "I am loyal to you" thing. They
Mm-hmm.
have that really interesting dynamic, and it's just something that I think would be interesting for like Edelgard and Lucina to talk about that. Like you have retainers who are willing to like they both have retainers who are willing, very much willing to die for them. And like, it's just and they're both nobles and then they both have like this whole um terrible future that the both of them envision that they both want to kind of stop. So I legit think it would be an interesting crossover interaction between the two of them.
They
Bonus
definitely
points, yeah. Bonus points that they're both my favorites. Right?
that totally didn't play anything to that
Totally didn't.
at all. And I mean, you make really good points because they do seem very kindred spirits. Like they
Yeah.
would fly. I feel like they would naturally like converge on each other. Like it
Mm-hmm.
makes sense to see them go through. Now, a question I do have for you because I know I said we wrap up, but I did
Mm-hmm.
forgot to ask you this one because I always think this
Mm-hmm.
is an interesting question to ask anyone from their favorite type of media game, whatever. What is an aspect would you say goes very unnoticed or isn't really as highly praised about Fire Emblem that you absolutely love or wish got a little more appreciation for?
I mean, I think I already kind of mentioned it, but it was in the music. Like a lot of I understand that like not everybody is like I'm a music major now. I used to be a molecular biology major. Now I am a musicology major. So like noticing and hearing these subtleties in the music is kind of like what I have to do on pretty much a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Um so yeah, there are a lot of aspects in the music that definitely that I think goes unnoticed. So like the no like not many people has pointed out the things that I pointed out about the music. There have been a few, but like I did get into the more technical aspects of it, but I haven't seen anybody else talk about the more technical aspects of the music as much as I have.
Also, I think to further add to your point, as much as I love the song, it does seem to be kind of the only thing people really go back to.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas the entire OST deserves a
Yes,
lot of praise, which
like I can talk about like how the main leitmotif gets manipulated and shaped across the different OSTs. Even the soundtracks you think it's not there. It's there.
yeah,
It's there.
yeah, because especially like you
But
look at
oh, they're good.
series
Yeah.
like Persona, Kingdom Hearts that have like one song from every soundtrack that everybody knows. People also acknowledge the rest of it. Whereas Fire Emblem, yeah, I kind of agree. It's just like that one song gets really praised, and like you said, not enough attention is brought to the rest of the OST.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess another subtle thing that I like are like so we know talked about the social aspects, but like the in game in battle interactions and particular
So
characters
much
face one
fun.
another. Like
So
one
much
of the things
fun.
I always recruit Shamir, and
Mm-hmm.
because I can't help it and I love pain, in the final confrontation I always make Shamir confront Catherine. Because like those two characters are like they're kind of gay for each other.
They're
If
very,
Chef knows.
they are
They're
very
very clearly
close.
they're very close friends.
As an old white lady would say, they seem like such good friends.
Yeah, pretty much. So like their interaction in the battle is always like, always you would come to this, and like you, and I'm like, it's just so painful. It's just so painful. Oh my god.
I agree. I mean, I get you, especially because the fun part about recruiting is it's literally you ensuring characters that you love don't die. Because I make sure, no matter what, Felix ain't dying under my watch. He's staying alive. My
Yeah.
Sasuke look-alike brother is gonna live no matter what.
I
Like,
have done like I did like a run where I literally didn't recruit anybody else. I just kept my usuals. I just kept the all the Black Eagles kids. Yeah. And the other routes, I only recruited Dorothea once, but then like it hurt me so much because like as much as I love the Beagle kids, like the idea of like taking them away from Edelgard felt too much.
mm, true. Like it just cannot crumble that away.
I can't, because like across among all the lords, the Black Eagles are the only ones who stay together. Because everybody else, you have to like do this little battle, you know, with everyone. They have to
Oh
send bandits, and so it gets everybody
yeah.
to reunite or something. But like with Edelgard, it's like now we've been together this entire time. It's like I love that
Oh
for them,
shit, you're right.
right?
I yeah, cause all yeah, I completely forgot it. Cause I only finished Golden Deers and I did half of the not the Eagles, the Blue Lions. Like not to like kiss Edelgard's ass, but I only do Black Eagles. I just play over. This is why I don't have strong opinions on the other ones to the point you were making earlier because I'm like
No,
that
that's fine though. Like not having strong opinions is fine because like, and here's the thing: you're allowed, like the fact that you acknowledge that you can't have strong opinions because you haven't like played the other routes is really good. Because most people play only one route and then they'll have very strong opinions about the other routes,
yeah.
even though they haven't played them. It's like,
The only like somewhat strong opinion I'll ever have And it's not even that it's, and I don't even find it as a critique of the character. I just felt it was a missed opportunity, or I felt like my expectations were maybe too high for it. I always thought that Claude would have a heel turn in one of the
Oh
routes
no.
because
Yeah.
fucking Sothis is literally like, he smiles with such grace, but his eyes show something much darker. Some mumbo jumbo to that effect. I remember here think
Yeah.
I remember here thinking like, oh, like he's probably not like obviously he's not going to be a bad guy in every route because no one is,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
at least one of them, I thought he was going to be the it was me Barry, it was me all along like at some point. And
Like for me, here's the thing. Like with Claude's route, like it just I liked his the least. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people are like Claude's route was
wow.
Claude's route was the most neutral or some shit. It was just a copy paste of the route that you do when you don't pick Edelgard. It was just a copy paste of that, but it doesn't even make sense for that to be Claude's route. So which is why I think Claude's route is the weakest among all of them. But then
What?
like oh no, his fans are like, oh, our king's the neutral one. Like okay, sure,
No,
whatever.
I totally know what you mean. I mean, I'm surprised. I thought it was Blue Lions for a while, but I mean,
No, Blue
but
Lions is like it was. I had issues with it, obviously, but it was a pretty solid, strong route. Like it makes sense for like what Dimitri is about.
also
So
I'll always say, time skip Dimitri does look fucking baller. Like
that is true.
I just to me it's a design that encapsulates this guy has seen some shit, which is my
Yeah.
favorite type of character design. Like I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. All right, with
Yeah.
that, we're gonna call it here. We went incredibly long. Uh, before we go, Kai, thank you from the bottom of my heart for
No
being the
problem.
first guest, talking about this stuff with us. I love your
Thank you for
enthusiasm.
having me.
No, I love this conversation. Love your enthusiasm for the game. You're reminding me why I love it so much. And thank you for your help setting everything up. I want to thank
Got
Rye
you.
in the chat for all their hard work designing this overlay that's fucking spectacular, and Kai again for their input because I don't know how Kai knows my taste better than me. It's almost concerning at this point. But like I'm afraid the next time we go hang out and I'm like at a restaurant, I'm gonna order something and you're gonna be like, "Don't do that." You know you don't want that. Kai's just good at.
I feel like I might do that, and if ever we both go there again.
Kai's just good at reading people. Absolutely. Um, And then for everyone in the chat, thank you all for tuning into this. I know it's not as interactive, so really appreciate the support. And if you have any topics, anyone you want to see on the show, let me know. I don't have to like the topic. I want to see other people's interests. That's what gets me excited. That's what gets me up in the morning besides pancakes. But thank you all so much. You all have a wonderful night. I'm going to get the next episode ready, put out the stream schedule. Y'all have a good one. Bye. And any closing remarks from you, Kai?
I love Edelgard.
What a way to end it all there. Thank you all so much for tuning in and have a good night. Bye bye.